Welcome to Unapologetically Badass, the podcast for women over 40 who are done dimming their light. I'm your host, Renee Carbone-Fleming, coach, queen, and master of the midlife glow up. Solo chats, epic guests, no filter. Let's freaking go. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Unapologetically Badass, the podcast for women who are done playing small, done asking for permission, and done pretending that we don't want more. More money, more power, more visibility, more impact, more respect, because here's the truth. If you are not being seen, you are being overlooked. And if you're being overlooked, you are being underpaid. And today's guest, she is the woman making sure that that stops. Let me introduce you to Liana Zavo, a college dropout turned media freaking mogul, Forbes contributor, venture investor, PR powerhouse, author, and the founder of not one, but multiple companies that are rewriting how women build power in business. Liana did not climb the corporate ladder. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't ask for a seat at the table. She built the damn table, then bought the building. She is the founder of ZavoMedia PR Group, a global strategic communications firm operating across 12 countries, and the creator of ZavoVentures, a first of its kind VC and PR hybrid platform designed to close the funding gap for female founders. Because yes, in case you didn't know, women still only receive 2% of venture capital funding. And Liana said, absolutely not. This woman has secured 500 plus tier one media placements, helped founders raise over $10 million in capital, appeared on Good Morning America, The Today Show, Picks 11, and mentors thousands of women around the world. I know this is long, but this is powerful. And by the way, she speaks 5 languages, takes equity in the company she believes in, and positions them to win. Because when she bets on you, she goes all in. This episode is not about playing nice. It's not about shrinking to be liked. It's damn sure not about waiting your turn. This is about visibility as currency, story as power, and audacity as a business strategy. So if you're a woman watching with a big vision, a business, a brand, or an idea that deserves to be seen, and you're ready to stop hiding and start commanding, buckle up, because this conversation is about to light a fire. Liana Zavo, welcome to Unapologetically Badass.
Thank you so much for having me, Renee. This was such an amazing introduction. I wish I can just take you along everywhere with me and put you in my pocket and be like, Renee, introduce me. Thank you. That was incredible. Love your energy.
Oh, fantastic. I'm so thrilled to have you. You're like, when I read your bio and started to dive in, I was like, wow, this woman is so impressive. So let's go back, because how did you get into this? Like, we told everyone what you do, and that is jaw dropping, but you went college dropout to this. What was that like?
You know, it's funny you say a college dropout. Now they want to actually give me an honorary degree. I went back to the college that I dropped out of 17 years ago with my son. At the time, he was almost 2 years old. He takes me back. He's 19 now. And I give him a whole, lecture on behalf of PR and branding to the pharmacy students. So you can only imagine that was my biggest aha moment, full circle moment. I said, I can't believe, and I knew when I left the college, the university, LIU University, I knew that I'll be back. I knew I'll be back bolder, wiser, more brash. And that's what happened. I feel that you can never lose sight of what you want to achieve. And I knew that I have so much to offer. There is no way that I can be overlooked, because I knew that in the process, I had to find a way to have a voice, make sure I'm seen, make sure I'm heard. I'm obsessed with that. Growing up, Renee, I grew up with this motivation of always to create a strong, respectable foundation for yourself. You can build respect many years, right? Rome was not built in one day. You build it, and that foundation was passed along from my parents. But you can shatter that reputation in one moment, right? So you have to be careful who you associate yourself with, what conversations you're part of, so that is not your reputation. So growing up in a family where very conservative, they inspired us, my father especially, with work ethic. knowing that you must work in order to be respected. And
Yeah.
so nothing was handed down. It was more about, well, show me what you haven't failed at, or show me rather what you failed at and got yourself back up. And
Yeah.
so those were the conversations at dinner, right? So what did you fail at? What did you do today? And so, with that intention, I grew up knowing that anything I fail at, I'm not going to be scared, because that in itself is the success that I will be building on. Because if you're not failing, Renee, at the end of the day, you're not risking anything, right? I remember my very first time I failed when I was 4 years old, and my father got me my very first ice skates. And so I was in Austria, Vienna, and he's like, I love ice skating. And so my first ice skates, I was, first time on ice, but I fell. I fell so hard. And I see that I'm the only one on ice. All my students were on the other side. The teacher was busy with them. And I had no other choice but to crawl, get closer to the railing, and get myself back up. And I did the same thing 10 times, right? I fell, I got back up. But that was the best thing for me, because I knew right there in the moment that it's okay to fail, because my dad would ask me, so what did you fail at today? And I would say, remember those skates? I failed. I was skating, but no one was there to get me back up, but I did it myself. So I literally had to build thick skin from a very, very young age. And I'm proud to be where I am today because of that.
Yes, it builds resilience. But so many women stop, like they fail once or twice and they figure, well, that's it. I failed at it. I can't do it. And that's in all aspects of life, right? Whether they're an entrepreneur or they go to work or it's a diet or it's an exercise program, whatever it is. But if they fail just a few times, they give up. What advice do you give to women who you're trying to get them to, like, no, keep going?
I think it's something that needs to be developed as a muscle over the years, and saying that, look, if it's not going to be me, someone else is going to do it. Why should I have someone else do it? And then I'll be looking at that person and say, well, that could have been me. I'm afraid of that. That's my fear. My fear is that I will not reach my full potential, the most potential, because I know that we have so much potential. Yep. If I feel that I'm not striving every day, I feel that I am doing myself a disservice. There's so much. If you're that type of woman who knows that deep down you have that badass attitude, but something along the way, and look, I'm a single mom. I know what it is to juggle, and you have to pay the bills, and you have to do so many things at once. I know a lot of women, I boost their confidence. I know what it is. But at the end of the day, you have a message. Everyone has a message to deliver. So if someone else is saying the same thing, don't think that someone else already said it. You are the messenger, and the messenger delivers their message in a different way, right? If you know that someone is hosting another podcast like you, Renee, maybe similar title, are you going to stop doing what you're doing? No, your energy cannot beat that other person's energy for sure. Right? Yeah. We all have that energy. And that's what I teach my clients as well, to build their personal brand based around their energy. What can you bring to the table? Because everything can be copied, but the one thing that cannot be copied is your energy.
I love that. That is mic drop. It is so true, because people get so concerned that, well, somebody else is doing it. Somebody else is doing it. But not everybody. I'm a coach. I help people develop personal brands. You're different. You have a different media agency that I do. There are different things that you do in the PR world that I don't. And the fact of the matter is, not everybody wants to do business with a particular person, whether it's you or me. I always say I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay, because I like coffee. It's totally fine. We all want women to find their person to work with, to help them get to that level that they were meant to be. And that's the thing, is women have to listen to that voice, knowing that they were meant for more. And believe that they were meant for more. So what are some of the strategies that you share? Or let's go back. What's some of the shit, honestly, that you went through? Because I'm sure, being a female founder, this didn't come easy. There weren't doors, people just opening up the doors and saying, Liana, come aboard, right? Tell us about the stuff you went through.
I had to knock down doors, and if I didn't get through the door, I had to get through the window. That's just the way I am. I have to make sure I'll find a hole, get into that hole somehow, right? We need to do it. We've got to make things work as entrepreneurs. You can't, think that things will come to you. You got to go and get it, right? You're basically a hunter. You got to be challenged. That's why so many women are looked down as, oh, don't work, don't be that entrepreneur, because we develop that sense of hunger for ambition. And a lot of men are intimidated by that. But that's another story for another day. But the way I got into it is, from a young age, I always had the hunger to become like my father. My father is a very, he's an entrepreneur. He has many restaurants. He has an empire he has built. And, I wanted to combine that entrepreneurial spirit with my grandmother's thirst and aspiration for journalism. She was a journalist in Russia. And so she told me stories. Those stories were ingrained in me from a very young age. And so as I got a little older, but we lost her at a very young age, I got as much as I could from her up until the age of 12. And in the meantime, she inspired me so much, my grandmother, that I told my mother, I said, look, I want to become a journalist. And so when I was about 17 years old, we were already applying for colleges. I said, look, I'm applying to LIU University. I'm going to go for PR. And she says, there's no way you're going to go for PR. You do something that is less risk adverse and less traveling, because when you're in journalism and communications, you will be traveling a lot. Yeah. And that's what my grandmother did. I guess she was traumatized from her travelings. But, I had to detour. I said, fine. At that time, I was 18. I got married. And I went to college at the same time. And so, it wasn't easy. It was the most difficult time because, first of all, I couldn't be who I wanted to be. I had to be that good girl and said, okay, well, mom said no, she doesn't support my dream. Then I guess it's not a good thing, right? Let me listen to her because she has more experience, and she went to college as well. So I wish I didn't, right? I wish I was more of a badass at 18 and said, no, I'm not doing it. But as time went on, I knew that I had to have a voice. And that's something I developed over the years. I didn't have a voice, or maybe I did have a voice, but I was shut down, right? I have a very strong personality since I was a very young girl. And so I think that a lot of people were intimidated, even within my own family, right? Oh, if she wants something, she's going to get it. And so, as things happened, they progressed. I got divorced. I had my son. And I decided to drop out of college. After 4 years, I dropped out of college, right? So I got into this program of like speech pathology. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. If I can't pursue PR and communications, I'm not doing it. So I dropped out and I said, well, what can I do now, right? And so I said the passion that I had at that time was style. I love to style. I love to do hair. And I knew that if I can make someone look amazing, their image is everything, right? The way you show up is your authority. Your first impression is your last impression. And so I made sure that I got into cosmetology school. I started from there. I got my license. My father told me, because I came to him and I said, well, what do you think I should be doing now? He says, well, look, I think you need a portable skill set, a skill set that you can take anywhere and you can just start from in a new country and you have no problem, right? And hairdresser is a portable skill set. Yeah. And so that's what I did. I listened to him and I'm glad I did. It's something that, stayed with me for the rest of my life. I mean, there are times when I take my clients to speak on TV and, I hire a crew and they're late. They can't do their hair. They can't dress them up. And guess who's there? I'm blow drying their hair. I'm getting them styled because I have what it takes. I'm well-rounded. I know what it is to create an amazing image. I come from that. So all of those skill sets I have learned over the years have just come to me and, just made me this beautiful woman that I am today, the badass woman, that I utilize all the skill sets. But, my story is amazing. I feel that everything I do it's intertwined into resilience, grit, perseverance. And when I dropped out of college and started doing hairdressing, I said to myself, well, I'm not going to work for these different salons. I was on Fifth Avenue. Let me, launch my own concierge firm. And so I did that. At 23, I launched my concierge firm and I decided to dress women for galas and charities, and they came all over the world. And so how do I get my first clients? I said, all right, well, how can I get my clients, which were like higher up there?
Right.
And so I would go to all those Fifth Avenue hotels, and I was like, hey, by the way, I'm your next door concierge girl. I know how to style, I know how to do hair, I know how to do makeup. Any client that comes to you, I'm your girl. So what would you like from that? 20%? You got it. 20%, send me all your clients. And listen, I work with St. Regis, Baccarat Hotel, Plaza Hotel. I'm telling you, I made a killing in my early 20s. But it came to a point where I said, okay, well, I'm running this show on my own. I'm getting burnt out. I love it, but it's just getting too much for me because everyone wants Liana. Nobody wants, I had 7 people working under me, 7 girls, but no one can deliver what I delivered, right? My energy, again, how I made people feel is your brand, and no one can make someone feel the way I do. And so the way I did back then. And so I just couldn't be in so many places at once. But during that time, though, when I was styling my client, someone overheard me, the way I made her feel, and said, look, I love the way you made this woman feel when you styled her. Would you want to have an opportunity to work for my company? And I said, what's your company? So it's a skincare line. And I said, well, I don't deal with skincare. I have no idea what to do with it even. She says, well, look, I don't need you to do anything. Just make women feel the same way when you dress them, just the same way what you did with this woman. If you can make them feel when they put on that beautiful velvety skincare on their face, they're going to walk away. It's all about marketing and make them feel a certain way, evoke those emotions, then you're hired, right? And she says, don't even think twice, because trust me, with me, your whole life is going to turn around. And she recognized my ambition. She recognized me as a woman. Like, she recognize my talent, and that's what it was. I never had that in my life. And so and then in the meantime, though, while I'm dressing these women, I'm giving out my resumes to different PR firms. I still have that, one day I'm gonna work, for a PR firm and have my own PR agency. Like, that's what I'm thinking one day, and so I'm trying to get my foot in the door to work with these PR agencies. And I get shut down. 5 PR agencies. Nope. What do you have? No degree. Nobody cares about your soft skills. Nobody cares about the leverage you bring to their business. Nobody cares about anything but paper. And it was just so sad to see. But when I started working with her, guess what she did? It was the craziest thing. You know what? God has a way, and you're pushing, and you want your dreams to come true, and you're putting it out there in the universe, and you're manifesting, and you're doing it, right? You're doing the hard work, all the legwork. She says, look, I have a PR agency I work with. I want to introduce you to. You're going to be the point of contact here. I'm going to be in Romania. By the way, Mirella, if you're listening to this, Mirella Matan, shout out to you. I don't keep in touch with her anymore. I really don't know what happened to her, but if she hears this message, I really hope she reaches out to me. I don't know what happened to her, but I hope she's out there, and I hope that she knows how much of an impact she made on me. And so she introduces me to this PR firm, and guess what? After some time, I would say a month, I tell them, look, I'm very ambitious. This is my goal. These are my dreams. At the same time, my family on the Upper East Side in the city was building their restaurant, Zavo. And so my last name is Zavo, but Zavo, the restaurant, that's how people started recognizing me, because I started working in the restaurant. I started doing PR. And so I said, look, to this PR agency, I have a restaurant that's building, and we need PR for that restaurant, but under one condition. I need to give you an ultimatum. For me as a businesswoman, I know how to leverage. I know what I bring to the table. I want to find leverage there. I said, look, I want you to teach me the ropes of PR. I want to be here. Like, I want to know who you're calling. I want to know your journalist. I want to know what you're pitching. I want to be here. Okay. But I'm going to introduce you to everyone I know. I'm going to bring you those clients. Do we have a deal? Do we have an agreement here? They didn't ask me if I have a degree. Sure. Money talks, bullshit walks, right? So they looked at me differently because I was already brought in by her. They didn't have to validate everything. So that was my in. That was my in. You see, it's just so amazing how life works, how something like you would think that never in my million years through a concierge firm, I would find my into a PR agency, right? But image, Renee, image and how you present yourself, like before your podcast, I had another podcast. I was dressed differently, but I had
Mhm.
to put on a different outfit because I said, I don't want people to see me in the same outfit. I want to
Right.
make it different. I want to
Yeah.
showcase something different, right? I want to
Mhm.
bring a different aura, energy to it. So it's important how you present yourself, right? And so because I developed that skill set early on in my life to have a very strong presence, your presence is your authority at the end of
Yeah.
the day, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how storytelling started for me, right? You tell your stories by what you wear. And then I said to myself, well, I'm going to tell stories by how people, have succeeded in their life. I want people to know. I want people's message to resonate with their stories of how they succeeded, of how they got to this point in their life. I think that's the part of journalism that actually came about. I was so curious to know about their stories. I
Right.
wanted to know their why you're doing what you're doing, what makes you so unique, why are you so successful, and let me amplify that message even more so. And that's what PR does, right? We're validating your story by third party source.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people, I love your journey. I didn't know about the restaurant too. That's amazing. And you live, so you said you were in Austria. Your
Yeah.
grandmother was in Russia. Did you live in Russia as
Yes,
well?
I was born in former Soviet Union, and then we immigrated during the Civil War broke out. As refugees, we fled.
Wow.
So I'm Jewish, and we're always fleeing. We're always fleeing a country because we're trying to get killed by someone.
Right.
Um, yeah, so we had to flee, and we left. We came to Austria, Vienna. We immigrated
And then from Austria to the
to the
US?
yeah, to New York for
Oh,
after 5 years of living there.
wow. So how old were you when you came to New York?
Close to 9 years old. Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's a lot. That's a big change.
yeah,
And you're still in Manhattan?
I am.
Yeah. I was just there in September. I give you so much for living there. Like it's overload for me.
It is, but the energy you can't, that energy is something else. I
Undeniable.
thrive on that energy.
Yeah, it's undeniable. So
Mhm,
with your PR, for a lot of people get, especially small businesses and
mhm,
women, get nervous with the word PR.
mhm.
Can you like talk about what does that mean? What is it that you do for your clients? How do you get them to be seen, especially for those that don't have the confidence or the energy yet?
So PR, yes, is definitely an underdog. It's an underdog because a lot of people think PR is meant for celebrities, and it's
Right.
not. Right? PR is the best promotional tool there. You know, compared to marketing or advertising. It's something that every woman, man, every person who wants to, basically push themselves to do greater. You need PR in your life in order to tell your story, in order to get the attention, because where attention goes, money flows, because trust is your currency. Because if you're not trusted, then how can people do business with you? And the only way people trust you is when they know that someone has validated your story, someone is speaking about your story. If I'm Googling your name and it just, if I'm and if there's nothing showing up, I know that you haven't invested into your online digital, like your digital footprint, your online reputation. You must invest. If you're taking your business seriously, then you must invest. Say that you don't have the funds and you're just a startup, and I work with a lot of startups, right, and they don't have it. Then we work as a sweat equity deal, right? I take a percentage of their company. Say that you don't want to do that either. You're like, nope, I'm not giving up my company. Then why don't you start on your own and do video content? Because 89% of founders are aligned with video content. If you want someone to understand your message, that's why you do podcasting, because podcasting is a very strong form of marketing,
Mhm.
right? And if you want people to understand your message, you say, oh, well, she was on that podcast. Let's see what she has to say. And not necessarily does this give credibility. No, it doesn't give credibility, but it gives visibility, right? So I would say that if you want to start with some sort of PR presence about yourself, then start with visibility, get on podcasts, or start doing your own videos and why you're so good at what you do, find your niche, talk about your message, who you're impacting. I'd say start small, right? But if you want to take this business seriously, if you want to take your name seriously and what you're building, then you should invest into PR. PR is the best promotional tool. It gives you the best ROI. You know what you're spending is what you're going to be receiving, as opposed to if you are dumping money into marketing or dumping money into advertising, you know that there is no ROI on that. I mean, how much money can you dump into these sponsored ads? By the time someone will see that, oh yeah, that's what she does. But if you put an ad with, say, you have been featured, hypothetically speaking, on Forbes or CBS or Fox News, someone has validated your story, how many more eyeballs will you have on that specific sponsored post? So if you're going to do a sponsored post, might as well invest into PR just a little, get a bit of credibility, make sure that you're validated, and then do marketing with that. So the why is very important as opposed to how. The how is, how do I distribute that? But what are you distributing if you don't have the why?
Right. That is a very, very strong and valid point, because so many people put money for, especially social media ads. And it's like, if the audience if they don't know you, then how do they trust you? They're not going to do, they're just not going to give their credit card over and say, yes, I'm going to buy what you have to offer. They need to be part of your story or know who the heck you are. So where do you get people seen?
I get them seen. I mean, I have a Rolodex of journalists, over 250 of them, where it really depends. If you are, first of all, I work with corporate founders, right? Business founders who are there's no entertainment. I don't do any arts. It's all legal, health, VC firms, startups. I work primarily with tech startups, which I love doing. I love amplifying them. And I work with a lot of attorneys as well, doctors, surgeons, those as well, those people that, and LinkedIn is the best outlet for me when it comes to actually getting my voice seen and heard, and they recognize what I do. That's where they find me.
Wow. And I loved LinkedIn. I think that's an underutilized social media platform for sure. A lot of people don't even spend enough time there. And I've been guilty of that too for years and years and years. And then
and we should talk, Renee. I can help you.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. I would love that. Yeah. What else do you want the audience to know about you and your journey? I'm so impressed.
There's so much. There's so much, Renee. I mean, I can say that, show up for yourself, show up every day, challenge yourself. I love challenging myself. I feel that New Year's resolutions is a whole BS system that was created. Just do New Year's resolutions. I mean, at the end of the day, you need to be disciplined in order to be motivated, right? If you don't have discipline, you can't be motivated to do anything. Motivation doesn't just come. You need to say, well, this is what I'm going to get done. And for me, it's discipline, and doing things I don't like, doing things I need to just do it because it's going to build that discipline. Like, for example, I'll tell you, I host Tuesday mornings at 7 a.m. A business workshop. It's a networking business workshop for founders, startups. 7 in the morning, Renee. I mean, I did not want to wake up that early. I love waking up early. I do.
Really?
I'm a 5 a.m. club. I am, but not everyone wants to teach at 7. I teach at 7 on Tuesdays. So teaching them how to pitch, teaching them how to, get their story on board. What do you say? Giving them objectives, challenges. So I teach a lot of these founders of how to show up, how to build their brand. And, there are just so many insights, and it's an exclusive networking group. It's like, if you say that you are an attorney and you practice personal injury law, I cannot have another personal injury law attorney there because I'm going to create a conflict of interest. So I want to make sure that it's, you network within each other so that if you need a personal injury attorney, you know who to go to. If you need a publicist, you know who to go to. We're creating this network professionals where we come just to each other, right? There's no conflict.
Quick crown check, Queen. If you're vibing with this episode, you're exactly the type of badass I built my empire for. Whether you're building your fuck it fund, launching your brand, craving a midlife reinvention, or just want to look and feel like $1 million freaking bucks, I've got you. From merch that speaks your truth to digital tools, coaching, and yes, even collagen that slaps. I serve the sass, the strategy, and the sparkle to help women over 40 take up space and cash checks doing what they love. Head on over to reneecarbonefleming.com or tap the link in the show notes. Pick your flavor of badass and let's turn your midlife into your power era. I love that. And yes, even though, okay, so 7 a.m., I'm not a morning person, right? But the difference between those that do and those that don't is the fact that if somebody wanted to really like 10 freaking blow up their business, they're going to put any of the excuses aside and show up at 7 a.m. Camera on, ready once a week, because and that's what I see so many women say that they want, and men too, but they say that they want something, but they're not willing to do the work that it takes to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were times when I did this in person. I'll tell you a quick story how I started it too. I started this because I wanted to diversify my portfolio. I didn't want, you know, see, I started my VC firm 6 months ago, right? And I started this group about a year ago. And I knew that if I'm not going to get myself out there and do something that's uncomfortable, I'm never going to grow. And so that was like my push, for myself. I wanted to see if I'm capable. So I gave myself this challenge. I will make sure I'm going to keep this, because I was invited to this. I don't know if you heard about BNI type of thing.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's similar, right? If you think about it, it's similar. It's 7 a.m, but BNI doesn't do what I do. I hone into the messaging. We talk about branding. It's a workshop as well. Like we work. We don't just refer to each other, but we work on your messaging and your brand, which is so important because that is your legacy. If you don't have a brand, especially now with everything that's happening with AI, if I am actually not Googling, now people are using more AI, Perplexity and Gemini. If I am using ChatGPT and I say, well, who's Liana Zavo? And you don't see anything showing up, or who's Renee Carbone Fleming? By the way, I love your last name, Carbone. Is that your maiden name?
Shed.
So I think we just got a little
messed up, but yes, I've been divorced for over 13 years. I think 13 years now. But I kept my married name because of my children. Yes. And then I started having success as an entrepreneur. And that's how clients and customers know me. So I inserted my maiden name. I want to shed the married name, but it's, when you've built a business and a brand, that's a hard thing to pivot. So
going back to what I was saying is that people, when they use ChatGPT, they want to make sure that you are on chat, right? And that is what you're building. You're building a strong personal brand so that it reflects on chat. But how does it reflect on chat? First of all, you have to start prompting it with publications where you've been featured, right? With something that is validating who you are. Yes, it can scrape off from Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. But again, those third-party validations, which is your articles, it can have that. There's nothing to scrape if it's not provided, right? So, and the significance that PR plays on small businesses, it's huge. It's huge. People don't understand the value that it brings, but it's amazing what it can do for you.
Absolutely. It's a game changer. It has been for me, and it's opened up so many doors and avenues that I didn't even know were possible. And especially, as a woman of a certain age, like I'm 56. And so a lot of women, thank you. A lot of women, get nervous and scared, like going, how am I going to build something in this next chapter of our lives? A lot of women, whether it's because of divorce or as empty nesters, the kids are off to college, whatever that is, then they go, wait a minute, now it's my turn. And they don't know what to do, but it's not too late, right? I mean, if somebody comes to you at, 56 and go, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to build a brand, it's not too late.
Absolutely not. If you have a message and everyone has a message, then you can build a brand. I mean, even if you don't have a message and you show them something you're cooking or you're dancing or whatever, that's a brand in itself, or you're fashionable. So all I have to say for all the women that are listening out there is take a bet on yourself. You must bet on yourself. At the end of the day, you don't want to be another number. You want to make sure that you stand for something, you're respected. For me, number one is respect. I feel that if I'm not respected, then I'm not doing something right, right? And then
Yeah.
what I do for my clients is creating respect for them, right? Authority, and authority is gained through respect, right?
Right.
To have that reputation. The reputation comes from being respected.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was raised. I was raised with that. I guess that mentality of Rome was built in one day, but also with your behavior and the way you act, whatever you say can also break it in one day, right? So
Mhm. Yep, for sure. And it is, how do you balance that? Because that made me think of, what goes on in the world and what we put out there on social media. And it can break you, but how do you balance being authentic and wanting the respect from your audience?
yeah, great question. I get that a lot. Oh, Liana, I don't know if I can share everything about my life. I feel like I'm gonna sabotage myself. I had this a case with my client where she has a very serious like illness, and she doesn't want her employer, to know that about her, and she wants to start her own business. And so, and they're just, I'm like, look, if you're not gonna talk about your illness, you're gonna suffer with this illness. You're not going to shine a light. Someone else is suffering with this illness as well. You're not the only one in the world.
Yeah.
But at least you're going to make someone else's life just a little easier because they're going to know they're not alone.
Right.
We are, human beings love to be part of a community, right? That's what we thrive on. We need to be part of some sort of a community, right? To feel like we are not being neglected. And so I feel that I said, and when I told her this, I mean, a light bulb went off, like, wow, that's what I'm going to make them feel, that they're not alone and that they can be on this journey. I'm like, yes, it's the whole point of social media. It's
Right.
to make them feel that you're part of this journey and I'm taking you along and you're not alone. And so when the shift happened, the mindset shift, and so yeah, she's been just so open, and her authenticity started to shine through. Her business took off. Her
Yeah.
health got better. I mean, like,
Wow.
there's so many things, because I feel like deep down she was suppressing it, and it took a toll on her nervous system. I think it's everything is mindset, right? If you're keeping it within you, and you're not expressing yourself, that's
Yeah.
the problem. Sometimes social media is much better than going to a therapist. You just say it how it is.
Exactly. And
You
but so
know?
many people are concerned, like she was concerned about her employer, and I understand and respect that. But so many people are concerned about what other people are going to think about the person who's putting themselves out there.
Right. And so think about me, when I got divorced, single mom, and I say it how it is. I was also kind of, because, I come from a community that's very close knit. We all know each other. I'm Baharian. I'm not sure if you heard of Baharian Jews,
No.
but Baharian Jews, we are, we all like know each other. We all know each other. And so I was just not afraid to tell my story, because I know, and women would tell me, "Oh my God, I heard your story. I can relate. Oh my God, I'm divorced as well. Thank you so much for being so brave and courageous." And
Yeah.
so don't sabotage yourself. Tell your story, because authenticity shines through. And you know what I love as well? Authenticity actually is the most powerful frequency out there. If you can be authentic with yourself, nothing will stop you from achieving the most. And that's what happened to me when I said, you know what, I'm unapologetic and I don't give a flying anything about who I am, what I am. I'm a college dropout.
Yeah.
I don't care. Judge me. It's fine. We all have a story. At least I got the guts to go about it and say it,
Yeah.
right? And you don't. That's not my problem, right? And so I just this is the brand I wanted to build. I wanted to build my brand on authenticity, transparency, and I suggest every woman, anyone listening out there, build your brand around that. I mean, I work with a lot of mentors and coaches I help them with, and they tell me, like, listen, and I would never think he used to be in jail. I'm like, you're so well off and you're so well put together.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I was in jail for like 5,000 days. I'm like, five, you counted each day? He's like, yeah, 5,000 days,
Wow.
5,000 in one day. He's like, yeah, but he's just, you would never think.
Yeah.
And he talks about it on social media, and that in itself helped him create a very powerful course where, men come to him to build their resilience.
Wow. And you're so right. It is authenticity. And that's why I started this podcast, because we all have stories. And when I shed the expectations that I either had of myself, because that's what I thought how I should act, how others should perceive me, when I finally said, fuck it, I am who I am. If you don't like it, then that's on you. I even wrote a book, Unapologetically Badass, Fuck the Rules, Wear the Crown, because I don't care. Right? It's totally good. I know I can look at myself in the mirror every day with the confidence saying I'm a good freaking person and I'm trying my best. Here's my story. I've gone through divorce. I've gone through bankruptcy. I've gone through estrangement from my youngest daughter. There's a ton of shit that could absolutely break me, knock me down, but it's what did I learn from it? How do I grow from it? And if I share it with others, then they see themselves and go, okay, maybe I can do XYZ, it's terrible. But everyone, like I said, everyone has their ish, but it's sharing it authentically. And what are we going to do from it? Because I truly feel that God puts us through something because he's getting us to another level. And we have to learn. So there has to be a learning. There's a reason why I've gone through all of that. And if I don't use those as learning tools, I'm not becoming the person that I was meant to be.
Yeah, I believe in that, and that's how I live my life. I feel that God doesn't give his strongest soldiers these tests because he knows you're a strong soldier. You're gonna overcome that,
Yeah.
right? These obstacles will just make you stronger because there's just so much more you have to accomplish in your life. Just builds your resilience. Because I hope you're gonna be talking about this on TED Talk, girl. You got to be out there.
I know. Yep, exactly. I'm trying. That's the next one. That's on the list. In fact, that's part of my, of course, I say vision board. It's really my goal board. But
media strategy, right?
Yeah, it is. It's on there, and I keep it on there because that's going to happen. So I know we're running out of time, but let's talk really quick about the VC, because a lot of people may be interested in starting a brand, but they need some capital for that.
Oh, that's my favorite part. Let's get into it. So disrupting the 2%. I've been always a female advocate, helping women get their stories out there. But then I said, let me take it up a notch. I was speaking in Singapore in 2024. I was invited to speak at their business show. And when I got there, obviously I'm not going to just get there, go on stage and then leave. I have to network. I have to make sure that I gain the most out of this 24-hour trip that I took. And so I found my LPs who I told them, both of them, like, look, this is my vision. This is what I want to do. And I need you to back my vision. They're from Singapore. They were totally on board. They're like, look, we want to support women as well, female-led tech startups. Now, I work with startups that are led by men and women. I don't fund the ones by men. We work on a sweat equity deal. But for women, we fund them based on a prerequisite of making sure that you have to sign up to our PR services. That's how we differentiate ourselves from other VC firms. We take the VC PR approach. Now, Renee, 90% of startups fail in their first year because this is why they fail. They don't have a strategy. They don't have a story. They don't have a brand. They don't know what they're doing with their PR or marketing. They don't have that in place. So yes, they want the money, but if you don't know how to be positioned, you don't know how to get your message across, you don't know how to relay the message, where is the money going? Because then you're going to be short again, then you have to raise again, then you're going to be back into that rat race, right?
Yep.
It just goes on and on. So that's why I said it's going to be different with me. I'm going to bridge the gap. I'm going to make sure that if I'm going to give money to $250,000 to $500,000, you have to make sure you're hired. We are hired. I'm hired.
Yeah.
Before I give the capital, so that I can make sure that your message is going to be, it's going to be relevant, and I'm going to position you as a whole. So, and women, have a very hard time telling their story because they're afraid to wing it. They're afraid to wing their story. They're afraid to be unapologetic about their story, and they feel that they need to be perfectionists, like their story has to be perfect at the perfect time, and it has to just like check off all the boxes. I don't operate that way. That's why I guess that's my superpower. My superpower is that I am not a perfectionist. I wing it. I go with the flow. I believe in my heart what's right. And I know that whatever's meant for me, it's just going to show up on the way. But I'm not going to be there and wait till I have a perfect plan, a perfect business strategy. Does not happen. It's not. You
Right.
just have to, for me, the messiness is the perfect moment for me. It has to be messy, because otherwise I will be, just trapped in that mindset of, well, I was never raised to be a perfectionist. I think that's another thing. Like, I didn't have to have my room all tidied up before I left somewhere. Like, I guess I was just raised differently. And I have to say thank you to that as well, to my parents, that they didn't make me be so crazy about like, you have to make everything perfect and everything has to be like, listen, it's fine. You can come back to it.
Yeah.
Just go with it, go with
Well,
the
you
flow.
set yourself up to fail if you're chasing perfection. You're never going to be happy for where you are in your life either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and
So,
I love how you bridge both the venture capital and the PR, because that is such a huge miss that they either do one or the other.
mm-hmm.
They need the
And
money
then
to build the business, but they don't have a story or a brand to share.
exactly. And then they get confused. Like, what do you mean? Not going to give me the money?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I can't. What am
Right.
I giving you the money for? What are you going
Right.
to use it?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So that started 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So how can women get a hold of you? How can they follow you? How can they connect to learn more?
Yeah. So please reach out to me on social media, LinkedIn, shoot me a DM. We'll love to hear from you. You can also go on a website, ZavoMediaPR.com. Again, it's ZavoMediaPR.com. We also have a great offer there, so take advantage. I'm not going to tell you what the offer is, but once you go on the website, you'll see. And then also we have ZavoVentures.com if you want to send us your startup and for us to take a look. If it's in seed and series A, that's the stage we work on. It's seed to series A. We don't want to work with startups that are way too early, even though you still can come to us. We can give you advice and perhaps we can do a sweat equity deal. But if you really want it to be successful, it's seed and series A. That's the stage.
Perfect. And I'm going to have your website also in the show notes. So everyone, please go show Liana some love. Go follow her. It's brilliant. So interesting. I love your journey. I love your energy, your story. And I'm really appreciate your time and coming on and sharing that with our audience.
Thank you. And I feel that, Renee, even though, you do a lot of personal branding, there's no competition. Competition is at the bottom. We're collaborating. Collaboration takes place at the top. And I know that we can do great things together.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I know, like, that's the thing. I know that he puts people in our spaces for a reason. So I'm thrilled to connect. Everyone, again, please go follow Liana and stay tuned for the next Unapologetically Badass. Everyone have a great day. Wrap for today, Queen, but don't just walk away inspired, walk away activated. If this episode lit a fire under your fabulous ass, hit that follow button, leave a review, and share it with your fiercest ride or die. Your support helps this podcast reach even more women who are ready to reclaim their power. And hey, if you're ready to look, feel, and earn like $1 million freaking bucks, I've got an entire badass empire waiting for you. From confidence boosting merch to brand strategy, coaching, collagen, content, and everything in between, head on over to ReneeCarbonefleming.com or tap the link in the show notes. Pick your flavor of badass and let's turn midlife into your power era. Stay bold, stay unapologetic, and wear the damn crown.